Welcome inside the Spectrum Orthopedics Saturday morning huddle. Billy Beebe, Kenny Rhoda on we're still getting this right, my left.
Yeah, we're figuring this out.
We are up on a Saturday morning ready to bring you the answer to what happened on Friday night. We'll answer it in the huddle, Saturday morning huddle, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. You can always go back and rewatch. That'll sit on the 1480 WHBC YouTube and Facebook. We had our 3 games as usual last night, the Pro Football Hall of Fame radio game of the week, the All Care TV game of the week, and the WHBCSports.com stream game of the week. I'm going to start off with my game, Kenny.
All right.
Undefeated Lake. They welcome in Glen Oak. I defined it as undefeated Lake welcomes in a worthy opponent. Glen Oak looking a lot better, doing some great things this year. We were very excited to see a little bit of back and forth. Glen Oak played very, very well. After Lake gets out to a 13-0 lead, Glen Oak gets a touchdown, and then Xavier Harris with a pick 6 to end the half. That would keep things tied at 13. Again, a little bit of back and forth in the second half. The key for Glen Oak, towards the end of the third quarter, they change quarterbacks. So they go to junior quarterback Cole Anderson. He comes in and leads a terrific drive, scores, ties things at 20. But in the 2-quarterback system, which we'll get to more of that in a minute with Lake, they go to Will Butler as their running quarterback. He ends up having a terrific game, 19 carries, 110 yards, and the go-ahead touchdown. But Glen Oak, they drive. They want to tie it. They get down to 4th and 10 at the 11. So basically 4th and goal. Kenny, take a look at this final play of the game.
All right.
So you can hear
Pretty
my
nice
play.
Yeah, I hear you in the background and everything. So that was nice there, and a wide shot of it, defensive play. And interesting, you've got the 2-quarterback system, right? Cole Jarvis and the Mogador transfer, Will Butler, doing it for Lake and getting the victory. And they're 4-0. Dan DeGeorge and his Blue Streaks, they're number 2 in Ken's top 10. You'll have to find out Monday if they moved up or stayed there in my top 10 teams in Stark County. But they're undefeated. We saw them ranked, I think, what was it, 8th, right, Billy, in the AP state poll, Division 2, where Massillon was 4. So I guess, are they for real? Can we say Lake is for real?
That's the big question, right? And so far they have been. And personally, I'm a skeptic of the 2-quarterback system.
Right. It
was fun. It was very fun to watch. And it's not situational, Kenny. It's drive by drive. So we talked on your show to get ready for the game. It'll be situational. It'll be short yardage. Got to throw, got to pass. No. Cale Jarvis, one drive. Will Butler, the other. Cale Jarvis, Will Butler. Cale Jarvis, Will Butler. All the way up till the end of the game. Even if Cale Jarvis threw, say, an interception, doesn't change anything. Will Butler gets the next drive.
Interesting. We'll see if Dan DeGeorge stays with that, or as the season progresses and more of these physical Federal League games happen, right? That he maybe rides the hot hand, or somebody emerges as that quarterback number 1 versus quarterback number 1A and 1B or whatever it is. So it's worked so far, and they're 1-0 in the Federal League. And that was what was interesting about this week, right? Week 4, a lot of schools got into conference play or league play, and the Federal League was one of those conferences or leagues. I guess I always call them conferences, but it's the Federal League. So we'll go with the correct terminology there. And we had a great Federal League matchup last night, man. We knew it was going to be high scoring. Not quite as high scoring as when you did Green a couple of weeks ago against North Olmsted when they combined for 92 points. But we figured there'd be a lot of passing from Green. We got it. There'd be a lot of running from Jackson. We got it. That there'd be maybe 30 points each, on the board. Pretty close. Our final was 29-28 as Green knocks off Jackson for the first time ever, Billy. First time ever in Federal League play that they get a win over Jackson. Their last win, I think, let me look here. I was writing some of this stuff down. I think it was 2013 maybe, in a non-league game where Green beat Jackson, but they were 0-7, I think it was, in Federal League play. They get the thrilling 29-28 win, and they only led after scoring the 2-point conversion to go up 29-28, okay? They trailed the entire game. It's late in the game. They're down 28-21, and we're talking on the broadcast with Dan Belford and Denny Kincaid and Mark Miller. Hey, if they score, do they go for two? Well, the answer to that question is yes, and we have. Let's go with the touchdown that made it 28-27, Billy. Play that highlight for our viewers here on the Saturday Morning Huddle first, then we'll see the 2-point conversion. And this is the play right here where the quarterback for Green, Robbie Clockner, on a quarterback draw, takes it in for the touchdown, okay? They had thrown the ball 67 times to that point, right? So Jackson's thinking they're going to throw it a 68th time. Instead, they run the quarterback draw. They spread it out. Clockner takes it in for the touchdown to make it 28-27. And then give me the 2-point conversion with Clockner this time throwing it. Yeah, they're pretty excited there at Green last night. And here's my energy drink that I'm drinking this morning. It's an orange energy drink. So they wear the orange and black there. So a little cheers to Coach Geis for going for two. Last week, who was it? It was Trucker, Jeff Lindesmith, going for two with Jack Talkington.
Yeah.
They had a play that they really liked. They felt good about on a 2-point conversion. They win the game last week on a 2-point conversion. This week, in talking with Coach Geis after the game, they had a play they really liked. And you saw the receiver for Green, Baglia. What do you have? 277 yards in the game that you did, right? Well, last night, not as many yards as that, okay? All Baglia did last night, let me see here. I think I wrote it down somewhere here. 17 catches, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that 2-point conversion. And run that play again. And I want the people out there to watch Baglia on the far left side of your screen. Watch the stutter step right at the line of scrimmage. He breaks free, and it's just a slant and a bullet from Clockner for the game-winning 2-point conversion. Go ahead, roll that again. Put his foot in the ground, stutter step, boom, the defensive back bit on it. They come with the slant inside, and what a great throw and a great victory for Green. And we're going to have Robbie Clockner, the quarterback from Green, on a little bit later. We'll see if his right shoulder is being iced this morning because he threw it 67 times yesterday. And also, we're going to have another one of their outstanding receivers, Jarrett Taylor, joining us later in the show. So 2 great games in the Federal League last night to kick off Federal League action. Coming down to the wire basically there, and we're going to run through all the scores of the Federal League games, the Pac-7 games, the non-conference games. Let me run down our guest list today. How about this? Anytime now, keeping our fingers crossed, we're supposed to hear from the head coach from Perry. They got a big win over McKinley last night in Fed play. Zach Slate's scheduled to join us coming up here very shortly. Carson Colucci, the Flock from Fairless, the Falcons. They go undefeated to 4-0 with a win last night. Their quarterback, Carson Colucci, going to join us. As we mentioned, Robbie Clockner, Jared Taylor from Green, Dr. A.J. Seth from Spectrum Orthopedics. We're going to talk to him about preventative injuries for football players and how you can prevent maybe some injuries and stay healthy the entire season. Brian Gamble, the head coach at Sandy Valley, is going to join us today. And Jack Talkington had another big game for Central Catholic, the outstanding quarterback and linebacker. He's going to join us a little bit later on in the show as well. So we've got a lot of things happening here today on the Saturday Morning Huddle, and we hope that all of our guests are able to get through with us, and we try and bring you as many coaches, players as possible on the Saturday Morning Huddle, Billy.
No doubt. We've already gone through some stats, some games we've done. If you check the bottom ticker here, folks, we'll have all the scores from last night, which I know we'll get into. We're hoping to get Coach Slate's on here in a second, but I know we'll have a little bit of film breakdown when we get our players on today, Kenny, so that's always fun. I got to ask you, last week, or maybe the week before, I was telling you did you get that same feeling I had where you like the Green defense, you think they're solid, but at the same time, they're giving up points? Did you know what I mean by that after that game?
Yes and no, if that answers your question. At times, they made some plays, right? They created a turnover late in the game. They held Jackson from kicking and extending the lead field goal by forcing them into a 4th and long instead of a 4th and short where they might have kicked the field goal. So they did make some plays. And in talking, here's where I feel better about it, okay? In talking with Coach Geis during the Kenny and JT show, Monday through Friday, 3 to 7, by the way, on WHBC, selfless plug. And talking with Coach Geis, he told me, he says, look, we got five sophomores that start on defense for us. 5. So they're going to take their lumps at times. And the more games we play, the better they're going to get. And that's, I think, the case we're seeing with them getting better maybe each week defensively. So I kind of see, where you were there with that. But you know what? We'll see if they can get better. But if they can score like that, hey, they'll be able to play with anybody, right?
And you got to think, 2-point conversion time or say go-ahead touchdown time, anywhere but the goal line, Kenny. You talked about it. That stutter step, you need help. You need an extra corner over there. You can't have a one-on-one. Really, you got Baglia, Taylor, and Martin. That's trouble. Green is going to be – I think they're going to really push to win this Federal League. They've got the offense to do it. And like you said, if they get that 1 or 2 plays – they can definitely make sure they can lean on their defense a little bit at the end of games to get at least 1 stop, 1 turnover.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to our first guest. Coach Slate's probably got stuck in film study this morning, and we'll talk about Perry's win over McKinley a little bit later on. But how about my number 1 team in Ken's top 10 in Stark County? They're off to a 4-0 start, and they had a thriller last night. And, boy, what a game in Pac-7 play. Fairless 31, Northwest 28, and let's bring in their outstanding quarterback, Carson Colucci, here and welcome him to the Saturday Morning Huddle. Carson, good morning. Thanks for joining us. How are you on this Saturday morning?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I bet you're good, man. After last night's game, right? A big win over Northwest, a thrilling win, 31-28. Let's start with the 4-0 start, Carson, because I think a lot of us, and we love Coach Sarbaugh and the job that he's doing there, right, with the Falcons. And you guys had your best year last year, right? 9 wins. You win your first league title since 1979. So, but you came up short in the playoffs, right? So a lot of us were wondering, well, can they follow that up this season, right? Can they do it again? And here you are off to a 4-0 start, answering maybe some of the critics that, yes, we can. What's been the key to this 4-0 start for you guys?
I think the key is just we have so many playmakers. Like, obviously, everybody hears about Luke Yoder and Brady Palmieri. Those guys are amazing athletes and everything. But, sometimes, like, the things people don't see, like Gavin Conley, he makes plays. Our O-line, they're blocking so good right now. We can run the ball. We've had more rushing yards and passing yards most weeks. And Peter Kelly and Anthony Steller, they're both running the ball really hard. And our defense has given up, 13 points going to give up 28 against a good Northwest team. But I think just everybody coming together, and we just love playing together. We all grew up together, and it's just great going out there with my friends and playing football.
Carson, I want to get into the game last night. Obviously, a close one, tight-knit game. We're going to have the play up here on the screen if you take a look here. Walk me through what happens on this touchdown. So this is a goal line, I believe. This is to tie the game at 28. So talk me through not only this drive, but this play right here.
Yeah, so we're just coming off the ball. We're firing off, and we saw a little gap there, and our O-line fires off the ball, and there's just a big hole there, and I just got to get my pads down and get 1 yard. Yeah,
definitely looked like you're playing a little bit of running back there. How big is it to have the O-line on plays like that?
Oh, there was just a hole wide open for me. I just had to get through there, and, there was one guy in the hole, and I just had to push him forward for 1 yard and just tough it out for a play.
And then I want to walk through this next play. Now, this one I got a lot of questions about. I think Kenny will have the same. This one sets up your game-winning field goal. I believe it was defined as a double pass, but we'll take a look and you can walk us through it, okay?
Yeah, so we early in the game, we came out in that same formation, and we just threw a little screen over there, and we've been having that one in the books for a while now, and what a better opportunity to run it. And Luke Yoder, he was a baseball player. He's got a cannon, and Birdie runs a great route. We get down on the 1 yard line, and we're in business.
I was going to say, I said, what player did you toss it to that he ends up almost taking your job with that pass?
Yeah, Luke Yoder, he was a great baseball player. He used to play quarterback back in middle school for us.
So that one's in the playbook. So you guys can run that at any time. So is this Coach Sarbaugh just waiting and waiting and waiting for the right time to call that? And I guess it worked to perfection, right?
Yeah, it was a great call.
Now, how often do you guys practice that?
Once a week.
Okay, so it's muscle memory, familiarity. You guys, so it's not a big deal when you see that play come in or when that play is called, right? You guys have practiced it enough where you guys can execute.
Yeah, we have a little trick play session at the end of our Thursday practices. Just make sure if we need a play, we practice it and we run it, so it's not a surprise when we call it.
Well, your numbers last night, 22 of 28, 273, 2 touchdowns. You also ran it 8 times, 19 yards, 2 touchdowns. You mentioned Luke Yoder, 9 catches, a buck, 1 receiving yards. Brody Pumneo, 12 receptions, 181 yards, and a touchdown. Those are all the playmakers you were telling us about, right? You guys can rack it up, and on any given night, somebody can have a big game that maybe didn't do so the week before.
Yeah, we have so many playmakers. I think a guy that doesn't get no slots like Gavin Conley and Landon Seal. Those guys, they might not always be the guys getting the ball, but those guys just running their routes hard and doing that type of stuff. They just run guys off, and you have to respect their speed. Gavin is just as fast as Brody and Luke, in my opinion. He's an athlete, he's a playmaker, and he runs his routes hard, and sometimes he might not get the ball, but he's doing the right thing, so those guys can get their looks.
All right, Carson, let's take a look at one more play here. This is the game-winning field goal. What are you as a quarterback? You've done your job at this point. You've set up the trick play. It got you guys down to look like about the 5-yard line, about a 15-yard field goal. As this is happening, what are you thinking as this field goal goes down?
I'm just sitting there on the sideline, kind of just praying. Gavin Wickham's a great kicker. He's a soccer kid. He's been drilling field goals all year for us. All practice week, he's been kicking good. I had all the confidence in the world, and good snap, good hold, good kick, good operations, what Coach Sarbaugh says. And, I was pretty confident in our guys at that point. We just had to protect for long enough and get it off, and after that, I knew he was going to put it through the posts.
He almost kicked it into the woods, man. That's like Cade York leg strength on that one, right? He booted that, so there's no doubt about it, was it?
Oh, yeah, he's a really good kicker. On kickoffs, he puts it in the end zone a lot of the time, most of the time, and yeah, he's a really good kicker, good soccer player too.
So 2 plays, the 2 biggest plays at the end of the game. You had a heck of a game. Obviously, you're our WHBC Player of the Week. But the last 2 plays of the game, you got to put it in somebody else's hands. You got a position player thrown into double coverage, and then your field goal kicker. How'd you feel towards the end of that one, knowing usually you're the one that kind of gets to control things, but you got to sit back and watch a little bit?
Usually – I do like having the ball in my hands, obviously, because I can just control it. If I mess up, then that's on me, and I'll have to live with it. But, it's just nice being able to see, other guys step up, and I feel like we just have, so many guys that can step up in those, big occasions, and everybody's been tested to the pressure. We just have so many playmakers that are able to step up and able to make those plays.
All right, I got to know, it was a away game last night, so that means no ring of fire on the opposing field. So when you're riding in the bus on the way home, are you guys? Oh, is that the shirt? Right. I need one of those. Tell Coach I need one of those shirts. All right.
Yeah, I'll tell him.
A big Johnny Cash fan. Love the tradition you guys do. So are you singing on the way home? What's that?
What size do you need? He said.
I'm a large.
All right.
All right. Yeah. I love that. So are you guys singing the Ring of Fire on the way home or no? Is that just for home victories only?
Yeah, we were kind of a little bit of karaoke in the back of the bus going, no music, but we were doing a little beat and we were singing a little bit, having a good time.
Well, you know what? Maybe if we get you on my radio show or Coach Sarbaugh on the radio show, I'll sing on the radio show, or I'll do a little karaoke a cappella, Johnny Cash Ring of Fire with you and Coach on the radio show next. All right?
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
It's too early for me to try it this morning. You know, I don't want to embarrass myself on video. I embarrass myself every day on the radio, so that's fine. So we'll have some fun with that. What about next week, though? Great win last night, obviously. A huge win in your conference, an away win. You stay 4-0, but now I'm looking down at our handy-dandy WHBC pocket schedules, and it says week number 5, home game against Orville. Your thoughts on putting this one in the rearview mirror and trying to go 5-0 next week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great game, but it's over now, and we're already moving on to next week. We're talking about them. I think they always have a bunch of good athletes. They're big up front. Had a big win against Manchester last night. You know, they're going to be a good team. They're going to come ready to play. I mean, you know, obviously being the league champs, we're going to get everybody's best game, and, you know, everybody's going to give us 100% of their effort. And I think we're going to be ready for it. I mean, we got guys going both ways, guys that are willing to play hard and put it all on the line.
Carson, this is a junior year for you. As you feel like you've gotten older, do you feel like you wanted to be more of a leader this year, try and become more of a voice on the team, not only being a quarterback, but coming into your junior year?
Yeah, I mean, just being a voice in the huddle for the guys, you know, calm them down in those big pressure situations and tell them that, like, we're going to be good. Had a few false start penalties, you know, we just got to calm down, you know, we'll be okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to lead in my best way possible, whether it's just leading by example, being a vocal guy, or whatever they need.
I have to give you some love from what the coach told me last night. Not only was he happy with your play at quarterback, but you're a two-way player as well. And he said you had an outstanding game defensively. I'm curious, as you play in the secondary, how much does playing quarterback help you see what's happening with the other team's offense when you're back there in the secondary and reacting to it?
Yeah, it helps a lot because, you know, obviously as a quarterback, you see things that's going on from the quarterback's point of view, but then you see it on their team too, where, you know, backside you have a matchup and you're seeing your outside linebacker all the way inside. He's probably going to run a hitcher and out. He's not going to want to run a slant into that guy. So, you know, you see that and you're thinking in your head, like, I got to be prepared for a hitcher out here. And, you know, you see the quarterback turn, he flips his hips to you, takes his hand off the ball, you know he's going to throw it. If he keeps two hands on the ball, he's pump faking, you're getting a double move again, something like that. It's just the little things that you see that, you know, relate to both sides of the ball.
How do you stay physically ready to go both ways? That means you're probably playing, what, 70, 80 plays a game, depending on how many times you have it on offense and if you're playing a team that likes to possess the ball. How do you stay in shape and ready to go both ways?
I'm a 3-sport athlete. I play football, basketball, and I run track, so that helps.
You're
a lot.
young. You're a junior. Yeah. So stupid question, Rhoda. He's what, 17 years old? Maybe he's in high school, enjoying life and playing 3 sports. So this he's got Billy. Go ahead, take it out of here. Well, that was a dumb question. I should have just looked at him and realized it was no big deal.
Yeah, that's definitely I think a good answer there. You know, looking at what you guys got coming up, we talked about the schedule. Is there something you guys want to do better, Carson, that you've noticed so far?
Yeah, we just need to, you know, limit penalties, limit turnovers. I mean, last week we fumbled way too much, and this week we had that one fumble that went out of bounds, thankfully, and just like staying in shape. I mean, we got guys going both ways. I have so much respect for, like, nobody talks about, like, Garrett Miller. That guy plays left guard and middle linebacker. He's an animal. He makes so many tackles, so many plays for our defense, and Landon Seal, he plays tight end first, linebacker first, and then guys up front, like Tom Fox, he goes both ways. Jackson Stutz, he plays defensive tackle. Like Logan Beresford, he plays hard for us. Like guys that, you know, don't get talked about a lot. You know, they make so many plays. They go both ways. Garrett Miller doesn't come off the field. He's on kickoff, kick return, defense, offense, PAT. I mean, that guy's just an animal.
How about that? That's a leader right there, Billy. I think he named every player on the roster almost here today and that's good because he's given love where it should be given. The guys in the trenches, the guys that don't get the press clippings and all that stuff. So, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Continued success. You're our WHBC Player of the Week for your effort last night in that big win over Northwest. Best of luck the rest of the season, and we look forward to singing with Coach Sarbaugh on the radio sometime soon, that Johnny Cash Ring of Fire, all right?
Yep, thank you guys for having me.
All right, there he is, Carson Colucci. How about that? Our WHBC Player of the Week for his huge effort, both offensively and defensively, in that 3-point win over Northwest. So that was a thrilling game last night that everybody saw if they watched the Alt Care TV game of the week. Our Pro Football Hall of Fame radio game of the week was a thrilling game last night as well. I was walking the sidelines. I was out of breath. My arm hurt watching Robbie Clockner throw the ball 67 times. I had to ice my left shoulder that had surgery a couple of weeks ago and my right shoulder this morning. So let's go right now and bring in our next guests on the Saturday Morning Huddle. Robbie Clockner, Jarrett Taylor from the victorious Green Bulldogs from last night. There they are. Good morning, gentlemen. Congratulations on the win last night. How are we both feeling this morning?
Good morning. Feeling good.
Feeling great.
All right. I don't see ice on your shoulder, Robbie. Did you already ice it this morning, man? 67 throws, and that doesn't count the game-winning 2-point conversion, which means 68 throws. You already iced that down already?
Yeah, I'm taking care of it.
Yeah. And what about you, Jarrett? When you go in, you guys are going to throw the football. So if you're a wide receiver on this team, you got to be loving life knowing, hey, I'm going to get mine eventually, whether it's this game, next game, whatever it is, right? Because they double somebody, Baglia, that leaves me open, right? Robbie's going to throw it 67 times. How much fun is it playing wide receiver, Jared, in this offense?
I mean, I love it just because I know we're just going to keep throwing the ball no matter how the game's going. So there's always that chance that I'm going to get the ball.
Yeah. Billy, go ahead.
Yeah, Jared, talking about yourself getting open, making plays, how much does it help to have the other two receivers that you guys have? Because I did your game a couple weeks ago, and Zach Baglia couldn't not catch touchdowns. It's all he did all night, along with the Antonio Martin and yourself. How is it having those two guys with you in the receiving group?
It's awesome because those kids are such good receivers, so it's always someone that's going to have to help on them, so that leaves one of us open every play.
I'm going to hold up my sheet here, all right? We do prep work for this, right? This is your guys up here in the orange. I ran out of room, right, of writing stuff down. I changed how many pass attempts you had last night, Robbie, 4 different times because we lost track. I called coach and texted him, how many times did you throw the ball? He said, embarrassing 67. I said, just win, baby. Doesn't matter how many times you throw it. So how do you prepare, Robbie, knowing that you're going to throw the ball anywhere from, I guess a slow night would be 35 passes to 67 passes like last night?
I mean, really, I watch a lot of film. I know what I'm doing before I go into the game. I know I have a pretty good idea of what's going to be open. Just one thing Coach Stout always says, one thing Coach Geis always says is just take what they give you. So I'm not trying to force the ball down the field. Take the short stuff when it's there. Take the easy stuff. Just make the reads, and that's kind of how our offense operates.
29-28. Jackson gets the win real quick here, Billy. And guys, I don't know if you realize this. That's the only time you led last night. You trailed or were tied the entire game until that 2-point conversion. And Billy, can we pull that up? The 2-point conversion. And Robbie, I want you to take me through this because in talking with Coach Geis after the game, he told me there was no doubt. He had a gut feeling if we score a touchdown down here, and we'll get to that later, we're going for 2. So take me through this 2-point conversion play. You'll see it on your screen here, and tell me what the call is here and why you guys felt so confident in running this play.
Yeah, so Zach's got a slant on that side. Jarrett backside, he's got a dig. So I'm coming back to him. If Zach's not there, so I'm looking at Zach. I saw the defense. He ran a fantastic route. I saw the defender flip his hips, and I knew we won the game right then. Just put the ball right in his chest, and that was that.
Yeah, and Jarrett, as a receiver, in watching you guys, route running is so important when you throw it as many times as you do because they know you're going to throw it. So they're trying to put pressure on Robbie, right? So you guys have to be precise. And as Robbie said on that route by Baglia, you talk about selling it and then putting his foot in the ground and cutting it inside, right, for the slant to get open. Talk about your ability, Baglia's ability, Martin's ability, you guys and route running, how important that is in this offense?
It's so important because if we're running like uncrisp routes, then we're not going to get open nearly as much, which isn't giving Robbie like any targets. So that's why we work on it every day in practice, perfecting our cuts, making sure we know what to do every play.
So, guys, maybe this is a secret. Maybe you don't know. I'm interested. Who's your running back?
Nobody.
Because we get a depth chart before the game. My game that I went to, I was at when you guys were there against North Olmsted. I mean, really, you got down to had to run the clock, and I said I have no idea who's coming in at running back right now.
Yeah, I mean, we like Antonio running the ball. I usually get a lot of carries, but the throwing team.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch. We love doing games like that. Let's see here. The 2-point conversion we showed you, okay? Let's go with the touchdown that sets up the 2-point conversion. And, Robbie, I want you to watch this again because I'm in the end zone filming this, right? I'm listening to our guys on WHBC radio. You guys were our Pro Football Hall of Fame Game of the Week. And I'm listening to them saying, well, might they run it here? And I'm thinking, yes, spread the field. They're thinking pass, pass, pass. Quarterback draw would be a great, play call in this situation. And that's kind of what happened for everybody out there. Watch this. And Robbie, take us through what the play call was, what you saw here. And did you get in the end zone? I guess is my other question.
Yeah. No, that was a great play call. Like you said, it was just a quarterback draw. They were selling pass all the way.
Right.
And I promise you, I did for sure get in the end zone. Ball across. It was actually a face mask too.
Right.
But I mean, I got through. I saw the hole there. I ran. I was just trying to find the open space. I saw, was that Trent, Jesse, somebody come across, take that linebacker. So I just cut behind him and finish the drive.
Is there, when that play's called, is there a specific hole you're going to, or is it a react based on the way the guys block and the defense rushes for you?
There's supposed to be a specific hole, but I'm like when I run that, I just go where it's open. Like there is a designed hole, and usually that's where it is. Every now and then, though, it's like something else is what. Like I'll just take where I can go.
All right, and I want to throw this your way too. I don't know if you know this. I talked with Coach Geist this morning. That's Green's first ever win over Jackson in the Federal League. You guys had defeated them in a non-conference game, but since joining the Fed and everything, first time you beat them in the Federal League. And for both you guys, if you can comment on this, how important is that, and how physical are Federal League games maybe compared to non-conference games?
I think that it was so important just because of what happened last year. It all came down to that last kick, and then all the celebrating. We thought about it all week, remembered it, that moment. And then it's just like so important to win that game because it just meant so much to all of us to win.
Robbie, what about you in Federal League games and how physical they are? And yeah, I forgot about that. It was a missed extra point last year. Jackson won 21-20, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this was actually my first Federal League game. But just I wasn't here last year, but seeing and hearing about it all week, I mean, the guys really wanted this one, and I really wanted it. Just to come out and get it was huge for all of us.
How about that, Billy? First Federal League game, he throws it 67 times and scores the game. I want to say game-winning touchdown, but it set up the game-winning 2-point conversion. Then he throws the 2-point conversion. That's not a bad way to introduce yourself to everybody in the Federal League, Robbie. So go ahead, Billy. I know you got more questions.
Guys, the schedule you played so far, looking at your games, everything's been pretty close. I mean, we're talking overtime. We're talking end-of-game situations. What are your thoughts every week as you guys kind of get locked in another one-score late-game battle?
So I think we're kind of figuring out who we are as a team, and we're a tough team. We're a fourth-quarter team. A lot of times some of these other teams are bigger than us, maybe a little faster than us, and so they come out and they have a dominant first half, and we still play good in the first half, but sometimes we're just outsized. When we get in the second half, we're in better shape. We know what we're doing. We run our offense. Our defense really steps up in the fourth quarter, like every game. And so I think that's just who we are as a team. That's been our identity. Is we're a tough team, and when we get late in the game, we get tough.
Guys, how do you have the mindset that when you're down 28-14 like you were yesterday, right? Either last week or the week before, you were down 14 points as well, but you were able to come back, win one of those, lose one in overtime in a 2-point conversion, win one on a 2-point conversion last night. Where's the mindset of never give up or believing in yourself and your teammates that we can come back regardless of what the deficit is?
I think it's really just like all of our teammates knowing that if we never quit, that we can always do whatever we need to do. Like we always have people on our sidelines picking us up, making sure we're always going and making sure we're always trying to make plays every play.
Yeah, and like I said, we're a tough team, and we know that with our offense, all it takes is one stop, and we can march the ball down the field. So we know what we can do. We know our potential, and so we're always in the game.
Going forward, guys, in practice, as you guys go throughout the week, is there talk about what you want to do as far as who gets involved when and some ideas of in your next game you want to make sure you do this or that? What are you guys looking to improve on?
I mean, there's always things to improve on. I think a lot of it, some stuff in the passing game, just I don't know. We had a pretty decent night, I thought, but there's definitely some things to fix. Some routes, we're looking at some of my timings on a couple of the comeback throws. So there's always stuff, but there's going to be that stuff every game. Little things here and there, just reads, whether it's reads or routes or sometimes blocking and just little things here and there.
All right, let me ask this question. I almost forgot because so much happened last night in those last few minutes. You throw what looks to be a game-ending interception in the end zone, right, Robbie? But the laundry comes out, yellow, roughing the passer penalty. So take me, what were the emotions that you felt there? You're walking up, you get the snap, you throw the ball, it's picked, they're celebrating, but wait a second, you may get a second chance if the penalty goes in your favor. Take me through that whole thing, and then obviously you got that second chance and benefited from it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew it was going to be a penalty. Like when I threw it, the guy hit me in the face mask, hit me in the head, which is all roughing the passer every time. And I personally think I would have gotten the ball farther into the corner of the end zone.
Right.
Without that, so I mean, I knew we were getting that ball back, and we were going to go score.
Jarrett, listen to him, man. He's like, yeah, I knew it. We're going to get the ball back. We're going to score. What's it like having somebody that has that type of confidence throwing the ball 67 times as the leader of your offense?
It's awesome because he's always ready. So when he has that much confidence and knows what our team is capable of, it just helps us so much because he's always leading us, making sure we know that we can always come get it back, especially when we're on offense.
All right, guys. Exciting win last night. You beat Jackson first time in Federal League play, but oh wait, you got McKinley next week, right? Yeah. So it doesn't get any easier. Another Federal League matchup. They're 0-4, so they're out for blood because they're looking for their first win of the entire season. I'll start with you, Robbie, and then Jared, you can comment on that. Your thoughts on facing McKinley next week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know what they are physically. Big team, athletic team. And they're hungry for a win. So I think we're going to have to play some good football next week like we're capable of.
I think that McKinley's just they're always good. I don't think I remember them ever having a bad year. They're always so tough. But at the end of the day, we're tough too, and we can go out and compete with anybody we're on the field with.
Well, Division II state semifinals last year, off to a 3-1 start, 1-0 in the Federal League. Robbie's got 8,000 yards passing already, and you and the receiving corps have caught 100 balls each already. Continued success to both of you guys, your team. We appreciate you spending time with us here on the Saturday morning huddle, and we look forward to seeing you again down the road. All right, guys?
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, thanks for getting up with us on the Saturday morning huddle. How about that? Robbie Clockner, unbelievable numbers to start the season. He had 1,028 going into yesterday's game. He's got over 1,300 now, 18 touchdowns throwing and 3 rushing touchdowns. And, Jarrett Taylor had 4 TDs going into yesterday's game because, he didn't catch a touchdown pass yesterday, but because he had 4 previously, right, Billy? Everybody's got to pay attention to him. That'll open it up for, let's see how many receivers they have listed here. Baglia, Manson, Mandrine, Martin. Everybody gets their share eventually in that offense. And you did one of their games. Now I have as well. They're a fun team to watch. Yeah,
it's a Big 12 offense. Those guys have Big 12 written all over them. A lot of fun to watch. And you talk about, Kenny, maybe you don't get a touchdown, but I mean, how many receivers in either the Federal League or the Pac-7 or all around Stark County, how many receivers can say they had 31 yards and they weren't the leading receiver for their team?
Well, yeah, or 5 catches, right? I had 5 catches, and that wasn't the leading receiver. So, great game last night. Congratulations to Green on that thrilling 29-28 win. And I'm looking forward to seeing if they can keep that pace up. 67 times. Let's bring in our next guest and ask him right away because we're thrilled here on the Spectrum Orthopedics Saturday morning huddle to have orthopedic surgeon Dr. AJ Seth with us from Spectrum. And Doc, we just got done talking to a kid who threw the ball 67 times last night, okay? And what we wanted to dive into today with you is preventative measures for, making sure you don't get hurt, soft tissue injuries and that. So what advice would you give to Coach Geist from Green and any other team out there that has their quarterback throw 40, 50, 60, 70 times a game to make sure this kid's arm stays healthy for the whole season?
Well, thanks for having me again. I hope you guys had a good week. So to answer that question, it's an interesting thing that even goes into baseball. Most of the studies out there talk about recovery, and that's where a big problem sometimes comes. You see it a lot of times more in baseball, but so if we compare baseball to the pitch count, and now we compare it to football on throwing a football, the motions are completely different because in a baseball throw, you're basically bringing your arm back and you're almost trying to dislocate your shoulder so you can whip it forward. When you throw a football, you're coming and you're not necessarily doing the same thing. So you don't put as much torque and everything on the shoulder. However, you are still, getting all those soft tissue, those muscle injuries that can happen. And it's all about recovery. So in my opinion is when you have somebody like that who's been doing this for years, you have to shut them down during the week a little bit because there's no reason to be having them throw, 100 and 200 passes because sooner or later you're going to wear that arm out. And it's actually interesting. The COVID year was one of the first years where a lot of papers came out and a lot of studies because the amount of soft tissue injuries went up dramatically. And the reason they came to the conclusion was people weren't like slow training. They were just coming in and boom, just trying to go active training, not kind of gradually come up. But on top of that, they never really had a great rest period. And so to answer your question, I really think that during the week, you really got to rest these guys up just because you're in week what? Now we're in week 4. We just finished. There's 6 more regular season weeks plus going to the playoffs. That's a lot of toll. And on top of it, it's not like you're not getting hit, in the shoulders and you're landing on it. So personally, my big thing has always been in practice and stuff, A, no contact, but B, just got to limit, especially, the passes that you're doing to, save it for Friday.
Doc, you already mentioned different throwing motions in sports.
Yeah.
We already talked to a couple of kids today. They were talking about being a 2-sport athlete. What is your advice for kids not only doing 2 sports, but some transition from one, the season ends, they go to another? Any advice for taking care of themselves, wearing themselves down, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'm a huge proponent of 2 to 3 sport athletes. That's just me. When you do one sport year round, which is becoming kind of the norm, you're utilizing the same mechanism of your muscles over and over and over again. So let's take, for example, baseball. It's one mechanism, throwing. So in baseball, we worried about the head that sits in the socket and the labrum or the cartilage around it. That's our big worry in baseball. And then you come to football, your worry is more about, like, say, your collarbone and the bone structure hit, but also just your rotator cuff that's helping you throw. So you're using completely different muscles. So if you're throwing or you're playing running back, you're utilizing in football, the most common injuries are the 4 big muscles in the legs. That's way more involved. You're going to get hamstring strains or hamstring pulls or calves. It's always the lower extremity. You don't see that in baseball. So the advantage to me of 2 sports is, one, these kids are already conditioned. So you're going sport to sport to sport. But on top of it, you're able to, just A, mentally not get stuck in one sport, and B, just not utilizing the same, your extremities the same way.
I think that's great. I think a lot of people kind of wonder about that. And like you said, what's the norm now? I think a lot of people are transitioning towards, well, let's focus on football.
Right. And I think the big thing about that, too, is when I was growing up, we didn't have the coaching, the pitching coaching, nobody really just played one sport year round. We played 3 sports. And at that, the difference now is when people talk about, they all talk about that pitch count in baseball. That's a very interesting point. I don't really care, honestly, what the pitch count is, as long as you're not going 110, whatever it is. But what people don't consider is how many throws they do in the backyard, or how many throws are they doing on Tuesday night with their pitching coach. That is what's important. You have to add all of those pitches up. So they're like, hey, you can only throw 100, 70 pitches for the week. Well, I guarantee you're throwing about 200 to 300. So doing that year round, to me, it's a lot on their body. And so that's why with, 2 or 3 sport athletes, you're completely switching, what you're doing.
Doc, for the quarterbacks that are throwing a lot like that, what's the best treatment after a game the next morning? Is it ice? Is it electric stim? Is it a massage? What's the best way to try and keep these guys from injuring their arm by doing preventative stuff?
Yeah. So I'll break this down in 2 parts. Okay, the first part, let me talk about what you asked about the quarterback. Then I'll talk about other positions. But
yeah, great.
One of the biggest misnomers out there is about the ice. Okay, and there have been multiple studies that ice is 32 degrees. You do not need to keep 32 degrees to be beneficial for your muscles. Okay, the studies have shown you need it about 55 degrees. All right. So, like my office over at Spectrum, we sell these ice units. Whether you get it from us, or anywhere, they are by far the best thing. So when my son was playing baseball at night, if it was his shoulder, I would plug one of these ice machines, and they just basically sit on your shoulder, and it just circulates water. But the water's 55 degrees. You can literally keep that on for hours and hours. Versus, if you put ice, I see it on the sidelines, that you can only keep it for so long. That's why they have the 20-minute on, 20-minute off, 20-minute. You can only keep it so long. Right. So with these ice machines nowadays, so for a quarterback, absolutely, it's ice the next day to calm any kind of damage. And what are we talking about? It's the bleeding in the muscles when you use it. It's just to calm inflammation. Let's go back to game day, though. You don't want to use ice at all on game day. You want to use heat. Because when you put ice on a muscle during games, you are now taking that core temperature down. You're taking that, you're decreasing the blood flow to muscles. So you're warming up to get the muscles warm, and then you're doing the opposite and you're icing it. So technically, what studies have shown is you want to keep heat on yourself during the game, and then you ice it the next day. And so one of the very interesting things that I've read and studied on when we were at Ohio State too is, before the game, we talked about last week, what do you do to prepare it? But most of the time, about 10, 14 minutes before kickoff, everybody goes to the locker rooms. Well, when you're in that locker room, all of that blood flow that you got to your muscles to keep them warm, that's gone down now. And so there was an interesting study that looked at what are you supposed to do before game time and halftime. And they gave this little chart that said, okay, the first couple minutes coaches meeting, rest here. But then they came out and said, these are the drills you do with like 6 minutes to go before halftime to get those muscles back in. So in essence, you don't want to, for regular players, you really got to watch your team of sitting so long, like we talked about last week on the sidelines, where their muscle temperature goes down and then you can't bring it back up, and there's no reason to warm them up.
And Billy, real quick, I'm going to interject because Doc operated on my shoulder and I'm doing physical therapy still. And what they do with me, physical therapy, when we start, they put a heat pack on me to loosen it up. And then she starts yanking on my shoulder and everything like this, to try and get the cartilage loose and everything like that. And then when I'm done with my physical therapy, I get electric stim and ice at the same time. So that's the process. So if it's game day, you want to loosen things up with heat. After the game, you want to take care of things either with an ice pack for a short period of time or that ice machine that you talked about, Doc, at 55 degrees, right?
Right. And, I've even told parents a lot of times when their kids are driving home from a baseball tournament away, it's the easiest way nowadays. You plug that ice unit in your car somewhere and, or it's battery powered and you just put it on for an hour, 2 hours. There's a big difference on rehabilitation. And that's where I'll give you an example. When there was that whole steroid controversy of Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and everything. So everybody talks about steroids in those players and what it did. You still have to be able to hit a baseball. I don't care what it is. It's still that, whole contact. It does give you some more strength, but the reason is they work is because it gives you that recovery much quicker.
Okay.
So McGwire, Sosa, they're bodybuilding. They're tearing their muscles. But if you look at it, you have to give it a couple days to recover. What the steroids did was it lets you recover quicker, gets you bigger, stronger. And so that is a prime example of what recovery can do. And if you ask those people, McGwire and them, it was all about recovery, how quick they recovered. If they did steroids, not saying they did steroids.
Allegedly. Yeah, we'll throw that allegedly in there,
I
right?
apologize. If there was a guy named Mark McGwire, we'll just say Mike McGwire. But yeah, that's the difference. And it's all about recovery, starting from Friday night, Saturday morning, and going into the next week.
And not just, we always looked at the hitters who were hitting home runs, Doc, but pitchers, the HGH that we heard about, right? Pitchers, so they can pitch the next day or, go on 3 days rest instead of 4 or 5 days rest. A lot of the pitchers who didn't get busted for using it. And trust me, I've talked to some major league players who told me, half our pitching staff was on HGH, right? Because it helped them recover quicker. That's what that was all about, right?
Right. Because what people don't realize is that, the HGH, all that kind of stuff isn't going to make you throw a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. You give it to somebody who you either have the ability to do it or you don't. But the difference is everything out there, and nowadays they talk about these peptides that are coming out. Everything is about rehabilitation. How quick can you get the recovery? Is the most important thing. And we're, like I said, we're just finishing week 4. There's a long season, especially if you want to make the playoffs. And the last thing you want is your team tiring out come playoff time. And when it gets cold, that's where you see the problem.
Doc, real quick, because we got Coach Slates waiting in the green room, as we like to call it, to join us here on the Saturday morning huddle. Obviously, steroids, we don't want anybody using that because, obvious reasons. What can be used for a speedy recovery as Coach Slates is listening for his offensive linemen as well as the defensive linemen, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers? What's your best advice for recovery after a game for the kids for Saturday morning and into the next week?
Yeah, so, like we said, obviously steroids are legal. Nobody wants anyone to do that. That's like the worst thing you can do, obviously.
Right.
But, and there's so much of this nowadays, out there, GNC and all this stuff. Big thing I'm going to tell everybody is that none of the stuff that you can buy needs to go through the FDA. So there is nothing on shelves that are cleared by the FDA. It's very interesting on vitamins. So my biggest thing has always been, before a game, you weigh the player. After the game, you weigh the player. That loss has to be replaced by the next day, because that's where it's all hydration. It's all electrolyte balance. These kids don't need anything more than what we always did before. I mean, there's so much on the market, but if you have kids and you monitor their weight, you will know who's actually following the regimen, who's coming in underhydrated. But the biggest thing is stretching, heat, ice treatment, getting the right treatment on Saturday, not waiting till Wednesday, and making sure that whole week you're hydrated. Like I talked about last week, that is the biggest thing. And like we said last week, everybody just looks at football's aspect of physical, and they all neglect the cognitive, or the mental cognitive aspect. Okay. If you're not mentally clear because you're exhausted, that is a big toll, because you're not running the routes you should. You're not covering the holes. That's the biggest problem. So you get that hydration going, and weighing them in. That's the only way, because you have no clue who's hydrated unless you check their weight all week. So I'm not a big proponent of any of the vitamins or any of that stuff out there, just me, because I never know, who's making them, where they're coming from. I'm just simple, carb loading, like we talked about last week, hydration, protein during the week to help recovery.
Doc, great stuff. We always appreciate the time. We'll tackle some more topics with you next week here on the Saturday Morning Huddle. Thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the Buckeyes 88-0 win over Arkansas State today. All right.
You say that, and then all of a sudden, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be that second half. I'm telling you what. We'll see. So,
all right.
Hey, you
Thanks,
guys
Doc.
take care. Have a great week.
All right. Appreciate that. There he is, Dr. A.J. Seth from Spectrum Orthopedics. Let's do this. This will be a first, Billy. Let's bring in both of our guests that are in the green room, and we'll talk to them both about their games last night. We've got Zach Slates, the head coach there at Perry High School, a big win over McKinley last night, and Brian Gamble, the head coach at Sandy Valley. They get a win over Minerva. Can you bring him in as well, Billy, or do we have to go back and forth with the guys?
I'm not sure we have Brian yet.
All right, we'll wait on Brian as you get that squared away. And while you're waiting to get him in, let me go to Coach Slates real quick. Coach, congratulations on a huge Federal League win last night over McKinley in a game that you trailed at one point 14-0, and you come all the way back and get a 38-28 win. How was your team able to stay mentally focused, not get down on themselves, and come back on the road and get such a huge win?
Yeah, I mean, our kids have been buying into what we're selling, and just the team aspect and doing it for your brothers and doing all that stuff. And they did. They fought through it. And especially with giving up those special team scores, it can kill you. And our kids just stayed the course, and we did what we do. And we ran the ball, and we just plugged away at it and chipped away at it, and we completed some balls. Our core quarterback did a good job completing some balls, and just kept chipping away.
Billy, I don't know if you saw the Air Slates era has begun there at Perry as his quarterback. I'll look here. Let's see. Maddox threw the ball 8 times yesterday. Coach, 8 times.
Almost the double digits.
I was going to say, when are we going to get the double digits, Coach? That's when we'll officially get the T-shirts printed up, Air Slates at Perry High School. When's it going to get the double digits?
I don't know. Hopefully never, because that means it's not going good.
Yeah, Coach, I had to share with you. I saw on Twitter this morning, I think it was up towards men or maybe close. I don't know which school it was, but the student section had a big flag that says America loves the wing tee. And the first thing I thought of was of course, Perry. But talk to me real quick, Coach. You go on the road for that one. How was the atmosphere? Can you kind of tell with your guys that maybe they're a little more nervous for the road, or is that something you get them ready for?
No, we try to apply design pressure on the kids throughout the course of the week, and I'm yelling and screaming at them throughout the week, and that's by design, to apply pressure to them and to get them mentally ready for those situations, so it's a little bit easier for them once they get there. And yeah, I mean, playing at Fawcett, it's an awesome stadium, and we had a lot of fans there, a lot of good student section, and it was a good atmosphere for the kids. But yeah, and they feed off of that too. So it was a good experience for them.
All right. I don't know if you know this, Coach, and we're going to bring Coach Gamble in from Sandy Valley, too, and get his thoughts on his win. But with you, Coach Slates, we deemed it the Opa Bowl yesterday because you and Antonio Hall, you love your Greek food, the Greek heritage and everything. So you are officially the winner of the Opa Bowl for 2022. How's that make you feel?
That's good. That's awesome. That's a good one.
That's another shirt we'll get you printed up. And you guys, I think really you should create a trophy. Maybe it's like a trophy of a giant gyro with tzatziki sauce on it, right? And then you two exchange it each year. Whoever wins, you get to keep the tzatziki trophy. What do you think?
That sounds good.
Let's bring in Coach Gamble. Coach, we talk about everything on the Saturday morning huddle here. Wins, losses, big plays, food. We mix it all up, and we're happy to have you on with us as well. A 43-13 winner over Minerva yesterday. We talked with Coach Slates about coming back for his win. What was the key to your big win and playing from in front and really sticking it to Minerva yesterday?
Well, first off, I'm just trying to wrap my head around 8 times Perry putting the ball in the air. So that's impressive, Coach Slate. So congratulations, by the way. But for us, we wanted to start the game fast. I think our first couple of games to that point, we've blinked and we've been behind 7-0, 14-0, and had to scratch and claw our way back. So we wanted to start fast, and we were able to score on the first play on offense and just get things going. And special teams was a big night for us. We know against Canton South, the opening kickoff they took back. So that was a very big emphasis for us this week with special teams that we really hit on. And we had 2 punt returns by 2 different punt returners take it to score for us. And we did some big things on special teams we were happy about. And just overall, again, we have so many young guys we have, but just developing these guys, each and every time, it's a Jekyll and Hyde sometimes, but it's we're trying to get more of the good stuff out of it, and we're trying to maximize that at all times.
Question for both coaches. I'll start with Coach Gamble here. Give us an inside look. Talk to us about your coaching staff. What are they doing during the week? What are they doing in game? I mean, I think a lot of people wonder. We see a lot of guys with polos, with rain jackets, with all the gear. What are they doing in game, leading up to the week? All that.
You talk about like apparel?
Yeah, no, I just mean like, what's your offensive coordinator doing? But I know they're always swagged out.
We, throughout the week, it's preparation. We kind of break it up into units. We have our position coaches. Just basically like almost every program, I believe. Our position coaches, break down, what they see. Our coordinators handle the overall, and we kind of meet as a staff after our film breakdown and preparation, and then we meet and see what we can do, what we need to work on throughout the week, and then what we need to attack, what we need to add, for our daily game plan. That's a basic Saturday, Sunday type thing. And then throughout the week, we handle our positions and our practice agendas and everything else that we got to do. It's broken up. I mean, my coaching staff overall is a very solid coaching staff, with guys that we have on our staff, with Coach Fred Thomas and, those guys, it's a very good staff. And I'm very blessed, especially on the defensive side of the football, for those guys that I really trust those guys with Brian Ridenball and those guys handling that side. So we can focus, primarily on I'm the coordinator on the offensive side. So we try to focus on that. Then we meet as a group. Then obviously I have the overall say of everything, but it's the same thing. It's a good to have the trust and to have that type of knowledge, to have Hall of Famers on your staff that you trust, and that they're going to put our kids in the best positions possible. And that's a good thing. And our guys, our guy, we grind just like every coach. We're grinders. That's it.
Yeah, and the other thing too, it's not bad when you have your dad on your staff too. So he can tell you when you're out of line, right? And you can't really say much to him, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. He said it, I think, at Santa Rumbas. If I fire him, he's not going to give any presents to my kids. So I can yell at him. I just can't get rid of him. He just follows me around a little bit. But no, like I said, it just overall, everybody that we have on our staff, it's a great thing, man. We're very blessed here.
Coach Slates, what about you and your staff and delegation and adjustments at halftime, the talks that you guys have? Go through a little bit of that for us in your second year.
Yeah, I mean, we got a good staff, and we coach on both sides of the ball. So we have guys that, like I have my defensive coordinator and all that, but we all coach on both sides of the ball. So there's not just a guy coaching defense or a guy just coaching offense. Like we coach on both sides throughout the week. And I mean, we have one of the most underrated positions is having a good scout team coach, because they're getting yelled at and getting guys lined up, and he depends on the kids to do what they're supposed to do, and there's a lot of yelling at them that goes on, but my guy takes it in stride and does a great job getting those guys prepared and getting them in the right spots, and he's an offensive line, defensive line coach, so he's over there just sweating up a storm, and but no, we got a good staff, and we've been together for quite a few years. We had one addition this year, but yeah, it's been great. I mean, Ethan Keggy's our defensive coordinator, and Tim Wolf helps me out on both sides of the ball. He helps out on defense with cards and game planning, and then helps me out on Friday nights in the box with calls and where we should attack and things like that. But yeah, I got a really good staff. So, and there's not a whole lot of halftime adjustments with us. There's not a whole lot of changing what we're going to do. Only we're going to yell at the kids at halftime and get them to do it better.
Yeah, you're not changing it. Just come on, God darn it. You know what we're going to run. We just got to block better. Coach Gamble, for you guys mix it up maybe a little more, although Coach Slates has thrown it 8 times now in a game already this season. So there's a little change happening there at Perry. But what about halftime adjustments?
If you need any tips. If you need any tips, Gamble, just let me know. I'll teach you how to throw the ball a little bit.
Yeah, man, I'm here. I'm just here to learn from you. I'm here to learn from you, Slates. Halftime adjustments. I mean, we gotta, we're dealing with a small school, and you talk about depth. You know what I mean? So like, there's times where we're doing what we call the Sandy Valley Shuffle. Hey, we got to move a guy here. We got to move a guy there. We got to do things a little bit differently. But it is what it is that when you coach Division V. But there are definitely some adjustments to be made, adjustments to be had, and we go in with we know our time limit that we have, before the referee comes in, so we know we have to meet, do it fast. So our guys upstairs in the press box already have kind of a plan before they are walking down, and then we kind of go with it, and we kind of bounce ideas off of it. But yeah, we definitely sometimes the first half might not look like the second half, and but it is what it is. We got to constantly evolve, because we can't just kind of sit back and just do. We have to do more. I mean, just because of the size that we have and the depth that we have. But it is what it is. It's it's fun though. It's fun, but sometimes we could be a little bit different the second half.
Hey, Zach, I'm curious. Do you have like that voice of Wakefield in your head at times? That, Zach, what are you doing there? You should run. I mean, do you hear? You do.
I do, and I throw it a heck of a lot more, and I do. So.
Zach, what about you? Is the old man's voice, in your head at times when things maybe aren't going well? Do you hear him like Yoda or something like that?
Yeah, most of that comes out at halftime when I'm yelling at the kids, but it is good having him close too. So I mean, I talk to him every week, and he helps me out a lot with that stuff too. So. He keeps me on the right track and makes me stay the course.
Very good. Go ahead, Billy, and then we'll get to our next guest too.
All right, guys, let's I'm wondering about the weather. We're 4 weeks in. I mean, every time it's about 80 degrees, sun's out. How do you feel about that? I mean, I think a lot of people wonder if you guys prefer it to be, 45 and a little more brisk. How do you feel going into games like that? Does that affect what you want to do? We'll start with Coach Slates.
Yeah, I mean, the heat sucks, but I mean, we get our kids as prepared as possible. And I was listening to the doctor before, and I mean, we spend about $4,000 a year on Gatorade, and we're giving protein to our kids throughout the week. So we give them protein 2 days a week. Gatorade is every day after practice on the weekends. So we're shoving it down their throats to make sure they're staying hydrated and do all that stuff, because otherwise, you're going to cramp up. And we've been fortunate enough not to have much of that cramping. We did in the Central game because that was the first day of school, so the kids weren't really thinking about drinking throughout the day. So they were a little dehydrated going into the game. But it was a cool night, so that was what was mind-boggling, because it was pretty cool that night. But yeah, I'd rather play in the cool weather. I mean, as long as it's not raining, though, I'll take anything over rain. I freaking hate the rain.
Coach Campbell?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We don't have that type of budget to do the whole that much money in Gatorade, but we do water jugs. So we assign each kid water jugs. We do water checks during lunch and study hall. So I'll go and literally we'll put lines down on how much water they're drinking, just make sure that they're drinking it. I mean, it's just make it important. You know what I mean? How important it is to drink water and all that stuff. So we do a lot of that. And like I said, it's just, that's the biggest thing for us is just, and we prefer, we prefer the heat is not fun for anybody. You know what I mean? But we like it. We can't wait for it to, get cool up a little bit. And obviously we don't want it to rain either, but I mean, it is what it is for all elements. But yeah, we obviously know, I don't know how many people really like the heat, but we're also not one of those.
All right, last question for both you guys. We'll let you go. You got to put yesterday's win behind you, right? Move on to the next. And I'll start with Coach Gamble. I'm looking at your schedule. East Canton picked up their first victory of the season last night, 35-0 win for them. So what's on your mind about Spider Miller and the Hornets of East Canton for next week?
Well, that's just it, man. Spider Miller's, I mean, I have all the respect in the world for him. He's a great coach, a great person, and he's gonna have he's gonna have those guys ready to go. They're always well coached when they go against us, and they're, they do things on defense and do things that we want to they try to take away, and they do a good job of on both sides of the football. So we're definitely gonna have our hands full. We really got to make sure our knives are sharp and we're ready to go, because it's gonna be all the hooplas coming out with it's homecoming and all that stuff. It's our homecoming game, and it's just all kinds of jazz that could be insert distraction here. But we got to stay focused what we got to do, and they're a really good team. They had some tough luck in the beginning but they're coming on strong. They just got a big win. They get some mojo going. They're coming to our place, and like I said, the Spiders are gonna have those guys ready to roll. So we got to be able to have answers for those questions. That's for sure.
Coach, best of luck. I hope those knives are as sharp as you want them to be, and we'll talk to you again down the road, and thanks for joining us on the Saturday Morning Huddle.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Brian Gamble, head coach there at Sandy Valley. All right, Coach Slates, you've got a home game against Jackson. We just did their game last night. Davide runs the heck out of the football for them. They're trying to develop a passing attack. Defense is getting better. What about putting McKinley in the rear view mirror? I'll use the sports terminology there, and looking out the windshield at your matchup against Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team, and they always we gotta get stops on defense. Davide's a good running back. They got some good receivers throwing the ball well, and we're gonna have a game plan together offensively, and we're gonna do what we do. So it's not gonna change much offensively, but yeah, we got to get stops on defense, and I think our defense got better last night. They had and I know that they had the kid run for 170 yards, but I mean, other than that, they had 32 yards of total offense other than him. Right. They threw the ball for 29 yards, so that's a huge step in the right direction for our defense. Our corners are playing really good. Bryce Davis and Joel Brown played great games last night. And they got to continue that, and you just got to stop the run.
Hey, one last thing, because we were catching some flack at WHBC this week, I guess, on Facebook, because we had you guys at 2-1 going into yesterday's game against McKinley, and some of your faithful fans out there were saying, well, no, that game against the team from Canada, that doesn't count on our record. It's not a loss. And my theory was, well, did they play the game? Yeah, there's a winner. Where do you come out on that?
I thought you had the record as 1-2.
Well, we had it as 2-1.
All right. Yeah, it's 2. We were 2-1.
Right.
That game counts.
Right.
All right.
There's a result.
And I don't know if you guys saw that score last night, but they beat Menor 48-28.
How about that?
Yeah,
so
that's why I told people going into that game, like, this is not just some Canadian team that's going to come down and get beat by everybody. They're they're a well-oiled machine. They got some good players, and I mean, beating a team like Menor that badly, I mean, they got some players. They're going to be good. They're good. They're a good football team.
Yeah, well, we have you at 3-1, so that is the correct record this week. But more importantly, Coach, 1-0 in the Federal League, right?
That's right.
Hey,
Yeah,
good luck next week against Jackson, and I'll work on that tzatziki sauce and the Euro trophy for the Opa Bowl for next year. Okay.
That's right. Sounds good.
Thanks so much, Zach. Be well.
All right. Thanks.
Zach Slate's head coach at Perry joining us here on the Saturday Morning Huddle, and we go from a pair of coaches to, how's this, a pair of Jacks that were victorious last night. Well, actually, only one Jack joining us, but it was a pair of Jacks who helped Central get the win last night, as it was a touchdown pass from Jack Talkington to Jack Hopkins, the game winner with 5:14 left in the fourth quarter to lift Central over Salem 35-31. And Jack Talkington joins us right now on the Saturday Morning Huddle. Pair of Jacks, that's always a good hand to have, isn't it, Jack?
Oh, it's amazing. When you have another receiver who's named right after you who can run and catch, it's perfect.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the win. And boy, I'll tell you what, late game heroics for you guys. You come up with a couple of big wins, a 2-point conversion that you ran in for a win, a touchdown with 5 minutes to go last night for the win. What's been the key to your guys' ability to rally late and come up with victories?
I think our biggest thing is Linda Smith. He always preaches the fourth quarter is always going to be our game. We got to take the fourth quarter and make it ours. And I think every kid believes in that, and they truly trust it. And every game we've won has been late, and everybody's rallied together. They put the ball down the field in the end zone, and I think that's the biggest key, this fourth quarter.
Jack, do you guys call him Coach Trucker? Are you allowed to call him Coach Trucker?
I don't know if we're allowed. I don't think so, but we also Coach Lindy, Coach Linda Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever at the moment feels right. We'll call him Trucker for you. That's what we call him on the Kenny and JT show on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But, Jack, for you, a lot on your shoulders, right? Offensively and defensively, linebacker and quarterback. How do you handle all the pressure that comes with being at a small school, the go-to guy that's playing both ways?
You just got to take it slow. You got to take it slow. You got to take it all in. You got to know what's coming at you. You got to see what's happening. On offense, it's really slow for me because I've started quarterback for 3 years now, so that comes really well. Defense, it's the first 2 or 3 games were a little rough for me because I was attacking the line. I was not reading so well, and now it's coming a lot slower for me. I'm getting back into the groove of my linebacker, which I played a lot freshman year. And, yeah, just taking it in really slow and methodical is really what I've been doing.
What do you enjoy more, linebacker or quarterback?
Too.
I enjoy quarterback more. I like having the ball in my hands. I feel like I'm just better with it that way. But I know college, I'm a linebacker all the way. It's just my build, my body, my speed. I'm a linebacker.
Jack, quarterback and middle linebacker. I mean, those are 2 leadership positions on offense and defense. Do you kind of feel like you want to lead? You have to lead on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, it's basically my job. At quarterback, I'm calling the plays. On defense, we have Tommy Buckler calling most of the plays and echoing across the field. But I'm still the leader on that field. I'm making sure the guys know what they're doing, making sure everybody has the energy, everybody's getting excited. But, yeah, I'm still the leader on both sides, yeah.
Linebacker, take me through maybe, and I asked this of one of our other guests earlier, who's a quarterback and a safety, okay? You're a quarterback and a linebacker. How much does playing quarterback maybe help you as a linebacker, as now, as you said, you're starting to settle in and maybe be able to read things from a quarterback's perspective while playing linebacker?
It makes it 10 times easier. I mean, knowing everything at quarterback, what the other quarterbacks would be thinking in a situation like 3rd and long, 4th and 5, what they're going to do, where they're going to put it. They're going to go to the sticks, try to pick up the first. So putting myself there in that position is so much easier because I know what they're thinking, and it's really, really helpful.
Looking forward to the schedule we talk to the coaches. The coaches have that straightforward mindset. As players, how do you guys talk about next week, the rest of the season, the schedule? What do you guys like to kind of tell each other and talk about when it comes to your next game, a game, 2 games from now? What are you guys talking about with that?
Well, today we just finished film, and right when we're done, we just forget about it. No more Salem, no more any games in the past. And every week's a really big challenge for us, knowing our schedule is really tough, and we just got to be prepared. We have 4 practices in the week, and they've got to be the best practices they can be out of all of them. Because with the schedule, like I said, it's really tough. We got to be perfect on everything.
All right, so let's go to your next game. I'm looking at our handy-dandy WHBC pocket schedule here, right? It says next week, home game against Alliance. They're able to throw it and run it pretty well with a couple of kids there. So what's the challenge going to be facing that talented duo for Alliance?
It's going to be a really tough game. I mean, when you got 2 kids like that, Caden Davis, who can run the ball really anywhere he wants. He's a really big kid. I've seen him run. We just watched a little bit of film on him. He's really talented, and he's going to be tough to stop. Then they got the quarterback, Zerberg, I think that's his last name. He can throw the ball. He can run it too, and it's going to be really hard to stop. So those are 2 talented kids. That's going to be our biggest challenge to stop on this team.
Good, Kenny.
All right. As you get, I guess, I don't want to say criticism, but as you're critiqued, right, as you watch film in that, a lot of kids, in high school, thinking back to my high school days playing basketball, right, some kids don't take it that well, right? Their feelings are hurt and everything. But in talking with you and hearing Coach talk about you, it doesn't seem like you're one that will easily have your feelings hurt, that you would prefer that to learn from your mistakes. Is that an accurate description of your mental approach?
That is very accurate. My parents, whenever I was a kid, they criticized me so much. I'm so used to it. And any coach like Linda Smith, even Creamer in basketball, I mean, they're yelling at me so much. I'm like, okay. I take out the yelling, but I just take in what's really being said.
Not how it's said, it's what's being said, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I feel like that's what kids don't get these days. They just get yelled at, they get their feelings down, they get their feelings hurt, and you just can't have that. Everybody's got to be mentally tough. They got to know that they're not yelling at you. They're trying to get you to do what's right.
And here's what I would tell kids, about this. If a coach isn't yelling at you or he's not talking to you, then he doesn't think much of you. That's when you should be worried and upset.
Right. I've heard that so many times. It's the best thing in the world when they're yelling at you and telling you what to do. It's the worst when they're just talking to you and telling you what to do. I mean, when they're yelling, they're really pushing you. When they're talking to you, they're starting to fall away from you because you're not retaining it. You're not getting it.
Billy, anything else? I want to give some love to some of the other kids, but go ahead with another question.
Well, I want to know, is Trucker the loudest coach you have?
Yeah, he's one of them. It's Trucker, Coach B, and Coach Grisey. Yeah, those are the 3 loudest. Yeah, you'll hear them anywhere. I still hear Coach Grisey and Coach Bo in the press box from yelling down.
That's great. Let's give some love to some of the other guys. Last night we mentioned Jack Hopkins, 5 catches, 53 yards, the game-winning touchdown pass with 5:14 left. And Alex Anderson with 2 rushing touchdowns and 65 yards rushing as well. So you're getting some help there on the offense, and I'm sure you're happy with that, and you'd like to see the wealth spread even more, right, moving forward?
Yeah, I love seeing those guys succeed. I mean, junior year and sophomore year, I was run the ball a lot, but having Alex Anderson, Jack Hopkins, Dan Boron even running the Jets and the XTs and everything, sharing the ball around, it takes a lot off of me, and it feels great. And I know they love it. They just don't like getting banged up and everything like that, but it's part of the game.
All right, real quick, give some love to your offensive line too. Like in the pros, the quarterbacks buy them Rolexes. Well, you're in high school, so you can't do that. So here's a chance to give some love to the guys up front by naming them.
Yeah. Our left tackle, Jonathan Stangle, he's a big kid. I mean, I'm talking maybe 6'6", 6'7". Ooh. I'd say 280, 290. He's a big kid. And you'll see him in film just peppering kids, driving them back. Our left guard, it varies. It's either Tommy Buckler, he's a really talented kid. He's really good on defense, and when he pulls and gets up through, he's really quick and he just sticks on kids. And Michael Earbar, he'll come in for Tommy Buckler because Tommy plays both ways, so we'll give him a little bit of breather. Michael does a really nice job. He's really physical and intense. Our center, Christian, he's really well. He was sick this week. He missed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and not Thursday. And him coming into the game and just gutting it out, with the sickness and everything, it was really good for him. I'm really proud that he did that. Our right guard, Bobby, he got sick yesterday, the game day. I saw him walk in, and he just looked really pale. He was coughing. He had sinuses.
Right.
Watching him play, it was his best game, I think, last night. He did really well.
Nice flu game.
Yeah. Our right tackle, TJ, he's really, I'd say he's the leader of the line. He's one of our captains. He's really well. He knows what he's doing. He's well coached. He's really physical. He's fast. He's really strong, too. I think from a sophomore to junior year, he put on maybe 40 pounds or 50 pounds. Yeah, he put on a lot of weight, and it was good weight. And he's really physical. Yeah, he's good. I like him.
There you go. Got to take care of the guys up front because they take care of you on game night. So, Jack, congratulations on the big win last night, 2-2 with a big game against Alliance this week. Good luck in that game. Good luck the rest of the season. Look forward to talking to you and Trucker throughout the rest of the year, all right?
Thank you. Sounds good.
There he is, Jack Talkington. How about that performance last night? 27 carries, 207 yards, and a touchdown. Rushing, 13 of 19, $117 in the air, and the game-winning touchdown pass with 5:14 left. And the previous week, the game-winning two-point conversion run for Trucker Lindesmith and Central Catholic, now 2-2, and they play one of the toughest schedules along with Massillon and a couple of other schools in Stark County in the entire state.
Well, we got to shout out, I think, two things after we've done the show here, Kenny. First off, two-way players. We talked to a couple of them. Again, in my game, Will Butler was tremendous, Carson Colucci, and then Jack Talkington. And I think the big point we can take from today's show, we have an official signed-off signature on doing multiple sports. Now, the first one, of course, from Dr. A.J. Seth, he liked it. He thought, you get different muscles working, you get a full body kind of strength building by doing those kind of things. But Coach Sarbaugh, he's got a baseball player throwing his go-ahead pass down the field, and then he's got a soccer player kicking his game-winning field goal. I don't know if he's just hanging out at every game trying to recruit everyone, but is doing just fine.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So multiple sports means good things because you learn how to compete, you learn how to win, you learn how to train, and you can help your teams out. Let's give some love to some of the other players around the area from last night because we had a lot of guests today. So, in these final few minutes we have on the show, you see next week's games that we have for you on WHBC radio, TV, and the stream on the bottom of the screen. And we'll run through all the games in week 5 for teams next week in Stark County. But I want to give in a losing effort. How about this? Nino Hill for McKinley. They lose to Perry 38-28. Nino Hill, 21 carries, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns after running for 203 yards the previous week for McKinley. They're 0-4. But they've got a running back that they can go to now, and maybe that'll get them going. Some other Hoover beat Louisville 34-8. Carson Derlin yesterday, 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs, and a touchdown pass in Hoover's win to get them to 3-1. Zach Rocker with 4 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown. Mason Ashby, 7 catches, 113 yards for Hoover. Wiltrell Hartson over 100 yards for McKinley, who's now 3-1. He had a touchdown. Jalen Slaughter, a huge game throwing the ball for Massillon, 14 of 19, 248, 4 scores. 2 of those scores to Ardell Banks, who caught 6 passes for 132 yards. Oh, by the way, next week, Massillon playing host to the defending Division I state champion, St. Edward's Eagles, and we'll have that game for you as our Pro Football Hall of Fame game of the week. Alliance now 3-1. Marlington unfortunately falls to 0-4 with a loss. We talked about Sandy Valley now 2-2. Thanks to Coach Gamble for joining us. Central 2-2 with a pair of Jacks cashing in at the table for Trucker and the boys. Canton South, a tough loss yesterday in overtime to CVCA, 42-36. That was their first game in the Pac-7. Welcome to the Pac-7. It'll be interesting to see how they handle Pac-7 play the rest of this year. Yeah. The Falcons of Fairless flying high, 31-28 over Northwest. They're 4-0, a Pac-7 win for them. Tuslaw loses in the Pac-7 yesterday to Triway, 44-14. East Canton, Spider Miller and the guys get their first win, 35-0 over St. Thomas. Brennan Betts threw for 247 yards and 3 touchdowns, ran for 78 more yards. Todd Schrader, 4 catches, 100 yards, 2 TDs for East Canton in that win. Malvern, 47 over Tuskegee Valley. Malvern's 4-0. West Branch, 38. How about this? They beat Ridgewood 38-14. It snapped Ridgewood's 31-game regular season winning streak. Drew DeShields, 298 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So that's a look around Stark County from last night, game 4, and some of the individual players who had big games, Billy.
Definitely, and we highlighted Robbie Clockner. I mean, how many times he threw, Kenny, but you talk about a guy like Nino Hill, 21 carries, throughout that game, going to him again and again, and especially when you go to him late, those carries mean even more. The area, tremendous football this year. We're seeing a lot of great matchups. And as you go to WHBCsports.com on Friday nights, you can track those scores. So we do our Altman Health Foundation scoreboard check. We're looking. I mean, nobody goes away. Every single team hangs in there. You talk about Coach Slates and Perry. They come back. Multiple other teams battling back and or, keeping it a close game, taking in those matchups. I think about Glen Oak, who easily could have rolled over. Lake scores on their first 2 drives.
Right.
They're away. They're dominating. They're doing good things on both. But Glen Oak, no way. Long touchdown, pick 6. Next thing you're back in the game. And we've done Green now for a couple games, and we know Green is never out of it. Green could score 4 touchdowns in 30 seconds, I think.
Well, 4 might be a little, but I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3 in 30 possibly if they needed to. But yeah, so far so good through 4 weeks. We want to thank all the coaches and the players who've joined us here on the Saturday Morning Huddle. We hope you're enjoying this as far as watching, the players and coaches talking about their wins. We want to get more players on, give them some love. We do this every Saturday morning here, 10 a.m. Throw that back up there. I want to see that comment from, and we'll try and get more comments from Timothy Offenir. This is awesome. Mid-interview game clips, next level, guys. Great stuff. That's what we're trying to do. Trying to provide you something that you're not going to get anywhere else, because high school football is our passion at WHBC, and the Saturday Morning Huddle is an extension of Friday night and what we love to do here. Thanks to Dr. A.J. Seth from Spectrum Orthopedics. They're our title sponsor, getting great insight from a doctor, an orthopedic surgeon like that on a weekly basis to help the coaches and the players out each and every week is great stuff. The highlights from all of our games, and we hope to bring you more of those. But also, make sure you check out our WHBC Instagram page, our WHBC Twitter account, our WHBC YouTube channel, our WHBC Facebook page, because we're going to throw videos and still shots. I'm going to do a photo dump from, my game from last night up on our Facebook page later today to give you still shots of what was a beautiful night for high school football and a great game between Green and Jackson. And then we look ahead to next week's games. And a shout out to our producer at the radio station, Brian Novak, for helping us out on Friday night with the Hammersmith post-game show with all the scores for you on Friday night. And then we go into more detail on Saturday morning. So thanks to Brian and Dale Lamb, our engineer, and George Bazika, who's with you, and, the TV crew of Frank Salona, Elmer Sheets, Derek Philo, Bob Jeffries, and, of course, our radio crew with Dan Belfort, Denny Kincaid, Mark Miller. We try and bring you as much as we can through all our different avenues, as I like to say, radio, TV, streaming, and here on Saturday mornings.
Definitely. It's a team effort here at WHBC, but we definitely appreciate coaches. We know they're busy on these Saturday mornings. So when they can fit in the 10, the 15 minutes to sit in with us, Coach Gamble, Coach Slates, they adapted today. They got up there together. I thought that was fun to have them. And then, of course, the people listening, the people watching. Here's what I really want to do next week, Kenny, and we'll push again when we go live Saturday.
All right.
Just like this comment here, you can comment. We'll pop it up and we'll give that question, if appropriate, of course, but we'll give that question to we could have given it to Coach Slates. Coach Gabe, we can give it to Jack Talkington. We can give it to, you can ask Kenny a question, ask myself a question. Next week, we'll make a push for that. We'd really like to get our listeners involved. And, who's your team? What questions do you have? Do you see your team's coaches coming on, your team's players coming on? And again, keep updated with our social medias. But another week of football, and we appreciate Spectrum Orthopedics for both being the name on here and getting us Dr. Seth.
Yeah, and the other thing too is we can send that out on Twitter and on Facebook, Billy. So, throw your questions up there and we can check our social media and even answer some of those questions as well. But, and of course, on the Kenny and JT show, we try and get as many coaches on to preview their next game coming up. So I'm hoping to have Coach Nate Moore on this week for their big game against St. Ed's, right? Massillon, the only team they lost to, Moeller. Moeller's the number 2 ranked team in Division I. That's the only loss for Massillon. They seem to have figured things out. They're now 3-1, and they've got St. Ed's this week. What's your game? What do you have coming up this week?
Jackson at Perry.
Wow.
I'm hoping I get fed like you did.
How about that? You know what? Last night was at Northwest. Baked ziti was the press box meal last night at Northwest for Frank and the fellas. So the Northwest boosters took care of the TV crew. We didn't get you fed. You had a game there, right?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
We'll get you fed the next time you're at Northwest. I promise you that, okay?
That's a great crew over there, and I appreciate, they have a great box, and they do a good job hosting us, and I just know, obviously the radio game of the week, the TV game of the week, but
no, we're going to get streaming game is just as important. So the next time you go to Northwest, you're going to be treated like a king as well. And by the way, in the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge, Northwest, number 1, Perry number 2. Okay. It's 1 and 2. It's neck and neck. So any of these teams that we have on our TV schedule, our radio schedule, or our streaming schedule, you want to get some love for the way you treat everybody in the press box with the meal before the game. The challenge has been issued. We did it at St. Hieronymus at the coaches banquet, and we're doing it here again Saturday morning huddle. The challenge has been issued to all the teams out there, and we'll give you your restaurant, your press box cooks, your concession stands. We'll give them much love by bringing us that pregame meal up in the press box for any of our games.
Let me give one last shout out before we go here, Kenny, our player of the week, Carson Colucci. He was on with us live. Folks, if you missed that interview, if you missed any of the interview, once we're done here, it goes straight to our YouTube and it sits on our Facebook. So you can go back, you can check out that interview. We had, I think, 6 guests today, including 2 at once. So if you want to go back and watch any of those, subscribe to our YouTube. We've got a ton of great content, and we'll keep it going on the Huddle. The question, what happened on Friday night? We're answering it every Saturday morning.